Hello, VC. Plastic Eric here. Plastic Soundwave Cult. Here for a special edition of the Plastic Soundwave Cult. Um, this one I'm just doing straight from the camera. No fancy stuff. Um, this video goes back to when I went to Spain, France, and Italy over the summer. While I was there, I took a cruise. I did the cruise thing to go to each place. And it's funny because the cruise ship was maybe half full. We were just really coming out of COVID. And, and plus with inflation, a lot of people didn't have the money. So it was actually really nice because there wasn't a lot of people on the ship. And I found that when you were just hanging out in certain areas, nobody talked to each other. They were all busy getting sun and this and that. But when I went to the smoking section, that's where all the action was happening. That's where I met the most interesting people. It was fantastic. I met a guy who's probably the biggest DMT manufacturer in England. I met a lady from New York who was in her 70s, loves heavy metal music. I met a lady from Banning who loves soul music, and I played music with her. And not play music, but I would play soul music so she could hear it. I met a lady who owned a restaurant who was a big Nicolas Cage fan. I met a guy who was an American expat and lived in Portugal. And he was great because he brought the weed on the ship. So it was a fantastic vacation because I was stoned still the whole time. I didn't take any weed with me, but the spirit of the weed found me. But there was one couple that I had met on this trip that was from Norway, Kamilla and Ole. And they were fantastic people. We talked for so long. We could just talk and talk and talk. It was great. They're into American cars, and they have an American car club that they're in over there. And as I was talking to them, and I was talking about how I was buying records in these different places that I went to, Camille, the wife, she wanted to know if I wanted to have some records from her. These were records that were owned by her mom, and her mom had passed away a couple of years earlier, and she still had these records. And I could identify with that because I had lost my mom last year, and it was about 6 months after my mom's passing that I met this couple, and we discussed a lot about our moms and stuff. And I think she felt that she didn't want to just like take the records to a thrift shop because it would just be parted out, and nobody would really care, maybe, or something. I don't know. But if she was going to give away some of those records, she wanted it to go to somebody who would take care of them and love them the way that her mother did. And that was back in the summer. Cut forward to the beginning of the year, and she sent me the records. And she had a list, and I picked out of the list. And it was amazing that the records made it here from Norway. Looks like they got hit by customs. I don't know whether it was Norwegian customs or if it was American customs, but the box was beat to shit by the time it got here. But she packed it well enough where the records survived. I've checked most of them out. They all look to be in fantastic shape. And I wanted to share the records that she sent me, and in a roundabout way to say thank you. Again, great couple. Can't wait to see them again one of these days. But I want to thank Kamilla for her generosity of sending me these records. She didn't even charge me shipping or anything like that. it gets me right here. You know, I love it. Um, Definitely working on sending her something good back. And so, you know, I don't know when that'll be, but when I find that right thing, I know what to send them. So, being the nerd that I am, I've already alphabetized the records that she sent me, and I've recorded a couple, and I've been working on it. But before I get too deep into it, so I can put these records into my collective, um, I wanted to get this knocked out real fast. So, with all of that bullshit intro, um, Bad Company, original Canadian pressing. This counts as my first Canadian pressing. Never had a Canadian pressing before. Um, as you can see, it's got the little thing in there. And that was the neat thing about some of these records that I've looked up so far. Um, they're from all over the place. You know what? I'm going to put that down there. All right. I know some of my punk buddies are not going to dig this one, but I like cheese. Christopher Cross, his self-titled album. Another Canadian press. And so now I have two Canadian presses. So these Canadian presses happen to make it all the way to Norway to Camilla's lovely mother. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a sucker for this album because I love Ride Like the Wind. I mean, that's just, I know it's supposed to be like a sailboat thing, but when you play that in the car, it just, you know, it does something to the world. Some people would say it makes it shit, but I think it makes it a little bit better. Original pressing of Eurythmics. I believe this is, let me just check because I'm not editing any of this shit. Eurythmics. I believe this is a Yugoslavian pressing. Let me check here. Yes. So, this is my first record from a dead country. You know, the Yugoslavia doesn't exist anymore. It's been all split up. And so it's interesting, first of all, to have, you know, a record pressed in that part of the world, but it's absolutely fantastic in the sense that country doesn't exist anymore. So it's like, you know, getting a record in Latin or something. So Yugoslavian OG press of Eurythmics, Be Yourself Tonight. And all those ones I've recorded already and gotten set up to be put away. All these next ones I haven't processed yet, except for a couple of these things. Let's go to my collection. This here is a Swedish pressing of this album, Kate Bush, Lionheart. I mean, how can you resist that face? I thought she was beautiful, man. I still do. Absolutely fantastic shape. Can't wait to get this one recorded and listen to it. And that wasn't the only Kate Bush that she sent me. She also sent me another Canadian press of Never Forever by Kate Bush. I have a reissue of this, so I'm really interested in listening to an OG press from, I think it's from, yes, Canada. So this one's a Canadian one. So, again, I have it on the reissue, but really interested in hearing how this one sounds. Okay, we're gonna go deep again. Leo Sayer. When I was a kid, I kind of dug his songs. It always makes me think of England. He was on Top of the Pops all the time. I never saw his Big Brother appearance, but I heard he was kind of an asshole. And there's a song called When the Money Runs Out, What Will We Do? And I happened to be in London that day, and he was shooting the video for that. He was on like this truck with a great big gimbal on it, and he's on one end, and the camera's on the other, and it's just spinning around, and we're at Piccadilly Circus, so he's going up Piccadilly Circus. I think he's turning down like Soho, and he's like kind of coming around the block, and as you're going up the block, this truck with Leo Sayer comes around again, and it went by about 5 times as we were walking down the street, playing the same song over and over. What is it? You make me feel like dancing, or dancing the night away. Uh, Classic Leo Sayer tune. Again, I like the metal, I like the punk, but I like the cheese too. So you got to go with face value, Phil Collins. I like this one because it has the young Phil on it, not the old Phil like the reissues are. Still finding out about this one. So these all should go a little bit quicker now at this point. Okay, picked up Rod Stewart. My grandfather remarried, and his wife at the time had this album. I used to listen to this all the time when I'd go see my grandfather in Holland's house. And so, yeah, great album. I can't wait to listen to this again. It's been decades since I've heard it. I know there's some songs on there I like, but I'm not sure what they are. Jerry Rafferty, an original press, I believe, of City to City. I mean, it's got the Great Baker Street on it. I haven't heard too many of the other songs on here, so I'm really fascinated to hear what this is going to be like. Because I do like Baker Street. That's a classic song from my childhood. And here's one that I'm thankful to have. Blah, Blah, Blah by Iggy Pop. Again, I think it's an OG press. It doesn't even have a hype sticker on it. That's like in the, that's part of the thing. So I don't know if this, where this is going to be pressed from. It's definitely in a foreign language, so I'm thinking it's either Norwegian or Swedish. I love the song, Real Wild One. That's a great song. I have a tape somewhere that I made of 120 Minutes on MTV, and it has that song on there. And that was probably the first Iggy tune that I really heard, that I knew about. Paul McCartney, Flowers in the Dirt. I don't have much McCartney solo stuff, so I figured I'd give this one a try. Simple Minds, Alive and Kicking 12-inch. Simply Red. I think this is their second album. I need to look this up a little bit more. But I've always liked that guy's voice. I like their little, you know, blue-eyed soul stuff that they do. I don't have much Steely Dan, so I figured I'd give Steely Dan a go. There's some other songs that, you know, were hits I like, so I figured I'd give this one a try. Along with Katie Lied, Countdown to Ecstasy. I know some Steely Dan shit has been showing up on the streams and the VC videos, because I guess there was just recently a reissue of that on Acoustic Sounds. There's a guy I never heard of, but I saw Cockney Rebel, and I thought, I gotta check this out. So don't have any clue about this guy, but can't wait to hear what that sounds like in alphabetical order. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Let Me Up, I've Had Enough. And so I think Jammin' Me is the hit off of this one. I'm not familiar with this album necessarily, so this will be an interesting thing. I've always been a fan of Tom Petty. He does some pretty good songs. Finally getting some classic OG U2, The Unforgettable Fire. Oh, it's got the thing. I don't know if where this one's done at, you know, where it's pressed at, but glad to have this one into the collective. And so yeah, really looking forward to listening to that one. And then last but not least, 10cc, Bloody Tourists. I've only heard a little bit of 10cc, but some of the stuff I've heard from them I kind of like, so I figured I'd give this one a go. It doesn't have Boys Don't Cry on it, but or I'm Not in Love, But it's definitely got some interesting titles on here. And so that's about 20 or so records that she sent me. And again, I just want to say thank you very much, Kamilla and Ole. I'm going to be working on these for a while here. Sorry, I had to sniff there. Definitely going to be listening to these over the next couple weeks. I'm already been working on getting them in and listening to them and recording them. And I went with the blue because, you know, it's cold, like Norway. And maybe a little bit dark. I don't know if the sun comes up yet where they're at. But thanks again, Kamilla and Ole. I hope you guys had a wonderful New Year. Can't wait to see you again. If you're ever out California way, you know where to come. I'm going to let them know that I made this video. And it's just kind of, you know, whatever for the VC. But thanks for indulging me on these wonderful records and a wonderful gift that I received. And so until next time, you see, it's not just about the music. Bye.